You know, when you hear the term AI governance, your mind probably jumps to a mountain of rules, red tape, and things that slow you down. But what if we thought about it completely differently? Not as a restriction, but as the actual architecture, the very blueprint for building AI that we can really truly rely on. Let's dig into that.
I mean, this is the question, right? It's what every organization is wrestling with. We all want the incredible power of AI, but we absolutely need the confidence that it's not going to fail us in some weird, unexpected, or even catastrophic way. So, where do you even start?
Well, you wouldn't build a skyscraper without a super detailed blueprint, a skilled crew, a ton of safety features, and a final thorough inspection, would you? Of course not. Building trustworthy AI, it's exactly the same. It needs a solid structure built on 4 essential pillars of governance.
And just like any great structure, it all starts with a plan. So that's our first pillar, the blueprint. For AI, this means plugging risk management right into your existing strategy, not treating it like some weird add-on.
And this is so important. Instead of trying to invent a whole new process from scratch, the idea is to weave AI risks, things like algorithmic errors or privacy breaches, into the same systems you already use for, say, financial or operational risks. You just use the frameworks you're already familiar with. It creates consistency. Because without that, you just end up with these isolated, contradictory rules that nobody can possibly follow.
But here's a really critical distinction. If you're just ticking off a legal checklist, the conventional way, you can actually hold yourself back. That's a purely defensive move. A more dynamic approach, though, is all about proactive learning and constant review. It turns risk management from a chore into a real opportunity to innovate ethically.
Okay, so you've got your blueprint. But what good is a blueprint without a skilled crew to actually execute the plan? That brings us right to our second pillar, the crew. And we organize them into what's known as the 3 lines of defense. Now, this isn't just about handing out a to-do list. It's about creating a living system of checks and balances. Think about it. When the same team that builds the AI is the only one checking it, blind spots are pretty much inevitable. By spreading that responsibility around, you slash the risk of that kind of bias and make sure everyone knows exactly what their role is. It's all about accountability.
So here's how it actually works. Your first line, those are your builders, the teams on the ground developing or using the AI. They do the first round of checks. Then you've got the second line, who act as the inspectors. This is an independent committee that gives their work a second look and keeps an eye on the big picture. And finally, the third line, the auditors. They step way back and ask, is this whole system even working the way it's supposed to? Builder, inspector, auditor. Simple but incredibly powerful.
All right, blueprint, check. Crew, check. Now we need to build in the safety features. This is our third pillar, the safeguards, or what we call AI guardrails. Seriously, just think of these as the fire alarms, the sprinkler systems, and the emergency brakes for your entire AI structure.
Now, the key word here is guide. Guardrails aren't there to stop the AI from doing its job. They're there to keep it on the right track. They don't magically eliminate every single risk. That's impossible. But they make the risks you know about visible and, crucially, manageable.
And these guardrails aren't just one thing. They come in all sorts of flavors. You've got your technical controls, like standards for model explainability. You've got organizational processes, like building risk assessments right into your project plans. And you have procedural rules, like staff training and keeping audit logs. See, no single one of these is enough. You need the code, the process, and the people all working together to create a safety net that's actually strong.
Okay, our structure is almost finished. The blueprint was solid, the crew did their job, and the safeguards are all in place. But before we open the doors and let everyone in, there is one last, absolutely crucial step. This is our fourth pillar, the stress test, and it's powered by a practice called red teaming. This whole idea comes straight out of the world of cybersecurity. Instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping everything works the way you designed it, you actively try to break it. You simulate attacks. You poke and prod for weaknesses. It's about building this culture of resilience by starting with the assumption that things will go wrong and then preparing for it.
So what does this actually find? Well, all the hidden flaws that standard testing just won't catch. For instance, how does the model react if you feed it manipulated data? Can you trick it or coerce it into generating harmful stuff? Are there any security gaps a clever attacker could wiggle through? Red teaming is designed to answer these really tough questions before they become huge real-world problems.
And that pretty much brings us to the end of our build.
When you bring all 4 of these pillars together, you're not just using AI anymore. You are architecting trustworthy AI.
It's a whole system, right? You start with the blueprint of risk management. You assemble the right crew with clear jobs. You install the safeguards with strong guardrails. And finally, you run the stress test through red teaming. Each pillar holds up the others.
So here's the big takeaway. Good governance is not the enemy of innovation. It's the foundation for it. It's the very thing that gives you the confidence to build bigger, bolder, and more powerful AI systems because you've engineered them for trust right from the very beginning.
And that's the question I'll leave you with. As AI gets woven into pretty much everything we do, it's really worth asking yourself, is the foundation you're building on actually strong enough to support the future you're trying to create?